Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you my 10-gallon planted aquarium, and I'm going to use this this assorted Endler tank as a model for what I think the best beginner aquarium is. And this is just my opinion, and there's lots of other guides and videos on beginner planted aquariums, and it's not that those aquariums aren't necessarily bad for beginners. It's just that I think this might give a bit of a different approach. And this is just a different option, I guess. So when I see a lot of other people's beginner aquariums, usually they're very, very simple. Usually they're trying to keep the price pretty low, just for beginners, because I think it really helps when you're starting off just to have a good, cheaper setup. That way you're not committing too much. In this aquarium, while it might cost you a bit more than some of those other setups, I think that in the long run it provides a lot more than an average beginner aquarium would, like you would normally see. And so what do I mean by that? The big thing for me is that with this setup is that I want to try and give beginners, or anyone who's new, I want to give them a good success, right? I want to have that hurdle of growing plants, right? When you've never kept plants before and you're just starting out, the big thing is I really want to provide that sense of like, wow, look at my plants grow. They've doubled in size in like 2 weeks. This is really fun. This is great. I'm going to keep doing this. A lot of times when I hear or see what people recommend, usually it's, oh, here, get some Anubias or get some Java fern. Now that's these plants right here. So this is a Java fern. This one kind of tucked up behind the wood is an Anubias plant. And it's not that they're bad plants. I actually really love these plants. It's just that they grow very slowly. So with an Anubias or a Java fern, you might get a new leaf every 2 weeks or maybe even a month, depending on your particular setup. Which, so if you've never kept a planted aquarium before, you're really excited. You get your plants and you get some Anubias and Java fern, and then you get 2 leaves, and it's like, okay, this isn't actually very exciting at all. This is kind of boring. Why on earth did I spend all of this extra time and money trying to do a planted tank? But with this setup and with this particular aquarium, the goal is to keep plants that are going to grow faster so that you can get that success and you get like that, wow, look at my plants grow. Because for me, that's what's really exciting, is just watching my plants grow over the course of a couple weeks, and then getting to trim them and propagate them and thicken them out in my aquarium. And I think it's much more enjoyable that way. So just to break this tank down a little bit, this is a 10-gallon planted aquarium, like I said. So that's just your average 10-gallon aquarium. So this is you can find one of these at like a PetSmart or a Petco if you're in the United States. And it's just your average tank. Usually this will run you anywhere from $10 to maybe $20 max. Usually they're pretty cheap, which is really nice. So it's a good way to save money, but it works, right? There's lots of other options like rimless tanks or different aquariums with built-in filtration systems. But if you're brand new, you don't need that stuff. It's just, it's nice and it looks cool. But if you've never kept it before, we're going to keep the price down at the fish tank because we're going to spend a little bit more on some of the other items in this particular setup. I'll talk a little bit about filtration. Filtration's pretty standard across your average aquarium. I think this is like a Tetra 10 or something. It's not great. Usually you want to get a filter that's rated for about twice as big. About twice as big as your aquarium actually is. I need to replace this filter. I've just ended up only having this one filter, so I'm kind of stuck with it. And I haven't gotten around to replacing it. So do as I say, not as I do. So with your filtration system, if you're brand new and you're getting a 10-gallon, just get a hang-on back filter. Usually go for like something that's rated for 20 gallons, so like a Whisper 20. I think AquaClear 20s would be good. AquaClear's a little bit more expensive, so it comes down to the end budget of your aquarium. But just something that's going to circulate the water. It's going to filter out particulates. That's what you really want for the filtration, because your plants are going to provide a whole lot of biological and kind of chemical filtration as well. So even if your filter's a little bit lacking, your plants and everything else in your aquarium is going to make up for that. So next thing I want to talk about is the light. So the lighting is probably going to be the most expensive part of the entire aquarium. It's probably going to be the most expensive part. So here we go. This is a Finex Planted Plus 24/7, I believe. Yeah. So this is I think it's one of their older-ish models. This is an LED, so it'll last basically forever, and it's meant for growing plants. And in this 10-gallon aquarium, it gives me really good light. So it's a medium to high light output on this particular aquarium, which allows me to grow some of these more complex plants like you see in the front. So in the front I have some foreground plants, and I wouldn't be able to grow those if I didn't have that really good light. And lighting is really important. It might be one of the most important aspects of the aquarium, and it's not something you want to cheap out on too much. I love this Finex light. This light is the perfect light for beginners, right? It's a good balance between cost and effectiveness. So it's really, really bright. It will grow the plants, and it's the cheapest light that I have found that can do that. So usually when you're buying lights, usually they'll have gimmicks. So something like the new Fluval planted aquarium lights are really good, and they're another good option. They're a little bit more expensive, but you're getting the added feature of being able to control the light on your phone, which can be really nice. It's definitely not necessary, but you're kind of paying for the gimmicks. Now, if you have a really big tank, you'll probably need a bit of a stronger light, and sometimes you might have to spend even more. But something on this 10-gallon, this is plenty of light, very, very good amount of light. And if in this tank I'm actually running CO2, so if you're doing this at home, CO2 is kind of like an optional step. With CO2, you can basically keep any plant that you want. So when you go to the fish store and they'll have all those different plant options, you'll be able to keep any plant that you want if you add CO2 along with the rest of this setup. I'll talk a little bit about CO2 at the end. It's just something to keep in mind. That CO2 is kind of like the end all be all of planted aquariums. It helps you keep any plant that you want. But even without CO2, with this particular setup and this light, you'll definitely be able to keep a huge variety of plants, which will be really, really nice. So, but getting back into the actual equipment itself, I want to talk a bit about the substrate. So down here at the bottom, let me turn my camera down. So the substrate is probably, along with the light, probably the second most important part. Plants like to feed, most plants, I should say, like to feed from their roots, and a good planted aquarium substrate will provide that so much more than regular gravel or anything ever could. And this particular soil is like a planted aquarium aqua soil. So it kind of mimics soil, but it makes it a lot less messy. It kind of puts it all in these little pellets. If you get down here, I can show you that. So it looks kind of like a gravel or something would, it's those little pebbles. And that's all just really compact soil. And it's really light. And this particular, all this different soil helps provide a lot of nutrients for your plants right away. Which really helps. If you've never done this before, starting off with a really good nutrient-rich substrate will really help. And with just this substrate alone, you eliminate so many different complexities like dosing, like liquid fertilizers, root tabs, anything like that. You basically eliminate the need for any of that stuff, at least at first, for sure. And it makes it a lot simpler, a lot easier, a lot lower maintenance. And some people don't particularly like the look of it. The goal for me, anytime I use an aqua soil, is that anywhere I have aqua soil, I want plants. I want plants growing out of it. Now, I say that, there's a whole bunch of these empty pockets, and I'm just waiting for this carpeting plant to fill in. So the goal with this plant is to have it fill in across the front, and it'll basically create a lawn of green. And I had to start off with a few small patches, so it's taking me some time to get there, but that's the end goal. So again, just make sure when you keep aqua soil, or wherever you put aqua soil, you want to make sure that you have plants growing in that aqua soil. So as far as equipment goes, that's pretty much it. Adding CO2, kind of like I mentioned earlier, will really help. It will really help grow your plants in a more attractive way. So a lot of these plants, especially if you look at these ones over here behind the pile of guppies, there's my sensor for my light. Let's see if that wants to focus. There we go. So if you see on those, they have almost a bit of a pink and red. The color balance isn't quite great. We'll go up here so you guys can see that. There you go. You can see a little bit of orange, a little bit of red, and a lot of that really compact, really nice, crinkly, wavy leaves, all that thick green on each of those plants. A lot of that's really aided by adding CO2. And without it, they'll be a little bit more spaced out, and it kind of comes down to what... It comes down to a lot about, you know, what you want, what you can budget. But if you get this particular setup, even if you don't have CO2, you're at least setting yourself up for the future. So if you don't, let's say you get this exact setup, you get the tank, you get the soil, you get the light, the filter, all that stuff. You can add CO2 later. If you get a cheaper light, you might be able to get CO2, but then you might also have to get another light. And so by getting the nicer light at first, you'll save yourself a lot more money down the line. So it kind of comes down to, you know, your budget. If you have to, like if it's a bit too much, and I completely understand with that. You can use a different Finex light. So there's Finex. I guess the Stingray is another good option. I haven't personally used that light. I hear a lot of people recommend it, and it's a cheaper light, and especially on like a 10-gallon, it'll be able to grow most of your plants. If you do get the one that I have, I'll pull out the remote so you can see it. So this is the remote, and this remote, let me turn the lamp on again so you can see this. That's better. Essentially, so this is a 24/7 light, so basically it means it dims up in the morning and slowly gets darker at night. The problem with that is that the lights end up staying on for a very long time, and it creates a lot of algae. So if you have algae problems with this light, so this basically what you'll do is hit the max button, and then you'll come down here and you'll turn it down a couple notches. Usually you won't need it at full brightness without CO2. Like I said, for the most part, it helps you future-proof, so you can add CO2 later, and you'll get the full advantage of that. And I'll probably have to I'll do a separate video on CO2 just because it's there's a lot to it, and so you can see at the back is my CO2 diffuser. With the light, we'll go down here. This is a wall timer. You can get these at Walmart for like $5-6. Plug your lights on here. Have them set for 6 hours. Let me pull this out so you can see it. There we go. So this is one of these. It's just a mechanical dial. I do really like those, and I have those on all of my aquariums now. Makes life a lot easier to easily adjust the light and how long it's on. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if it helped you at all, please consider liking, subscribing. It helps me know if you guys watched to the end, if you really got something out of it. If you have any questions, please leave those down in the comments. If you have your own suggestions for what you think is the best beginner aquarium, leave those in the comments too, just so other people can get an idea about what's really possible. And I'll see you guys in the next video.